What's up, everybody? Nate Sarantino here, back with another episode of the Guided Spirits podcast, and today I'm going to talk about unconditional love and what it means to truly love people unconditionally. The first thing I want to start with is unconditional love should really go to, everyone, and not just, your family, your friends. Everyone deserves, unconditional love, and you have to, step away from the thought that you're separating yourself from people through even just family ties and blood. If you hit the point and you see we're all this human, we're all on our own path, we all make mistakes, and everyone deserves to be loved with abundance. It's the first step of unconditional love is that abundance. And it just you can't have enough love. And the more love you put out, the more you're going to get back, because what you put out is what you receive. It's just it's literally this how it works. So, first, as I just said, we all make mistakes. And when you love someone unconditionally, you're going to have forgiveness in your heart. We all have forgiveness in our heart. And it's one of the very special parts about being human is being able to forgive others for their mistakes. Because when someone hurts you, whether that be physically or emotionally, you're going to want to hurt them back. And you have to fight that feeling of wanting to push back with negativity and use kindness and love instead. And when you go about it this way, you're gonna not only confuse the person, which I have a story about I'm gonna say after this, but you're going to help the entire system, as in the whole universe, by spreading a higher vibration and energy that carries, that feeling of, goodness. Love, this feels good. If you've ever fallen in love with someone, you know, that feeling of, wow, we are so madly in love. You get the butterflies from the whole honeymoon phase when you meet a significant other, and you really hit things off the first month, 2 months, 3 months, maybe the first year, 3 years, and then things settle in, and then the relationship might take more work, but it will keep going. And all relationships take work. So the example I wanted to give about the whole idea of forgiveness, we all make mistakes, and this giving people love back is I was recently at the 10X conference in Arizona, and I was stuck in downtown Phoenix with no wallet and no phone for quite a few hours, basically from 8 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon, 12 in the afternoon. And what I realized, or what happened, was I called my friend up from a restaurant phone. He was at work. He said he couldn't help me out until 4 o'clock when he got out. And so I ended up leaving the restaurant. I go to a cafe. I do some work on my laptop, make some Instagram posts, just get ready, get work done, because all I had was my laptop. I had no money. All I could do is just, work on stuff that, I could. And I eventually got tired of working, so I went on a walk, found myself to a really nice hotel, and I sat down inside and was watching some polo, the people riding on horses trying to hit a ball and a goal. And I was just solving a Rubik's Cube, and after an hour, this lady comes up to me and she asked me if I have if I have a room number there, and I say no, and she says, you're gonna have to leave, and I'm like, really? Like, it's like 115 degrees out, and I have no water and like just a little bit of food. I had some water. Some guy gave me some coconut water. This happened to run into a really nice man named John, and shout out to Johns. I met a lot of really good Johns in my life, but this man John gave me three like cans of like coconut water. They were so good. It was like a mango one, and one was not mango flavored, but it had like coconut like almost like chunks in it. It was just like fire, and it really helped. But all I had were these 3 cans, no money, and like I finished my bag of banana chips that morning, and all I had was coconut flakes. So I had coconut water and coconut flakes to eat all day. And the lady ends up kicking me out, and I'm like, oh, all right, like, if that's how it has to go, I will be. And she's like, thank you. But I was really, really disappointed. I'm gonna be honest. Like, it was tough, because, like, it was really hot out, and I didn't know where to go. I could go back to the cafe and, like, just, like, work at that coffee shop, which I ended up doing. But when I was walking out, the last thing I said to this woman and the other security guard standing next to her while they were, like, watching me pack my shit up and get out of their hotel, I say, thank you for being nice about it, and she looks at me, and she's, like, shocked. Like, she, like, doesn't even know what to say. And I was just, like, I just walked out, but I feel like those last words, like, thank you for being nice about it, it was supposed to be, like, she could have been really rude, and then, like, you have to get out of here, like, you're taking up space, this, that, and the other thing. And granted, I was wearing, like, all my, like, nice clothes because I was going to be going to the convention, and some things happened. I was looking for my wallet and my phone. My Lyft ended up not wanting to drive me back to the convention because my wallet and phone weren't at this hotel. And he was like, yeah, like, I'm not going to help you out anymore. And I was like, all right, it's all good. I'll just stay in downtown Phoenix until I figure out what I can do to find my way there. And, I was just like, yeah, like, no matter how bad things are for me, I'm not going to take out my, like, my issues on somebody else. Like, I'm still going to be the same loving person and caring person that I would always be, whether I had $1 billion and a wallet full of $1,000 bills right there, or literally didn't have any money or wallet or my phone. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I was still wearing the 3 chains. I was in really nice clothes. I thought, like, at that moment when she said it and when I was walking out, like, how would she have treated someone who looked homeless? Like, this was like a 4 or 5-star hotel. Like, it was a really nice hotel that I was just chilling at. And I was really, like, I just thought about that, because as I walked down the street and I eventually found myself in this park after stopping at a Starbucks for a bit, there was a lot of homeless people there, and they all were just staring at me like, what is this dude doing? Like, you don't look like you belong here. And I was like, yeah, like, dude, if you knew what I was going through, like, I'm stuck here. Like, I've never been to Phoenix, and it's my 2nd day here, and my 3rd day here, and I literally have no phone or wallet and no contact with anyone. And it was just, like, it was crazy, like, to, like, see, like, they couldn't see my position, but I could imagine what it was like being in their position. And they were all, like, they all were just trying to, like, sleep. It's, like, 115 degrees outside, and you're just trying to find a place with shade. They're all, like, they all needed water, they need food. Like, it looked like a really tough time for everyone. And what I'm getting at is, like, this, like, love, no matter who you are or where you're from. Like, that lady was kind. Like, she has to be loving even while doing her job, no matter who she's dealing with, whether it's me or some homeless dude that is just trying to get some shade. Like, if I should have asked to see if they would have given me water before I left. I love to test people and see what people will do in like certain like times of stress, or like just see how people react, and like you get to really understand how society works when you go about life that way, and you look at how people live in the moment. There used to be this show called What Would You Do? It was on like one of the like news networks, and it would just be like, it would be like an actor who would do like some crazy shit, and then you'd have all these like people around the person doing the crazy shit, and then there'd be one more actor who would like freak out or something at this other person, and then the bystanders would either just watch like this crazy thing happen, or they would stand up for the person, or they would agree with the other person. It was all about like what would these people in public situations do, and it shows like a lot of people are genuinely loving and caring, and I remember that very like clearly about this show. Like, it showed more people being like there for the people going through hard times than anything else. And that's what you gotta do. Like, you gotta really be there for everyone, not just like your family. Like, you see someone on the side of the road in like a really tough situation. Like, I got dropped off at my friend's apartment on what was it, Friday night, and I had no clue. I all I knew was his address, and he told me his apartment number, and I could barely remember it. I waited for the gate to open when a car came out. I walked in with my suitcase and backpack, and the first thing I do is I see this car sitting on like the side of the driveway, and it's like there's probably like, I don't know, a lot of numbers here. This is like a high-end apartment in like a suburb of Phoenix, and the dude's sitting there in his Honda, and he's like, his windows are down, his trunk is his hood is up, and he looks very upset with his hands in his face, like looking down. And I asked him, "Oh, dude, like, what's good? Like, you alright?" And he's like, "Nah, bro, I've been stuck here for like 3 hours. I don't know what I'm gonna do." Meanwhile, this whole time, I had no wallet and phone, and I could not help this man at all. But I just said, like, fuck it, I'm gonna try helping him anyways, because unconditional love, like, I gotta, like, I wanna help people. That's what I do. Like, when things are bad for me, I get my mind off my problems by helping other people. And lo and behold, I got my wallet that next day after I helped this dude. I got stranded in downtown Phoenix, and then I ended up getting my wallet later that day. I'll actually go through the story, but first, well, I'm helping this dude, and I'm talking to him, and I'm like, oh, like, my friend here, Zach, who was on the last podcast, he actually gets paid to work on cars. Like, he does it for a job. And I was having him come take a look at your car, and he says, yeah, I think it's the alternator or the starter. I forget which one it was. Oh no, it's the fuel pump, because it like the gas pedal would go down really easily, and it just like would not turn over at all, or it wouldn't give that hum. And my friend comes down. The first thing I do, I haven't seen him in like 2 years. I knock on. I just happen to find his door. I knock on it. He's like, I'm like, yo, bro, can you do me a favor? And this is like the first time I've seen him in 2 years. And he's like, yeah, what's up? And I'm like, can you come help look at this dude's car, like, in your apartment complex? Like, I told him you knew about cars, and he thinks, like, his fuel pump's bad. Could you, like, try to diagnose it? Lo and behold, Zach says it's a fuel pump. We end up helping this guy push his car into a parking spot, so it's not just sitting there in the middle of the driveway. And everything's all said and good, and the guy was grateful. We were glad we could help, and like, it was all this spreading love. And I move into the next day. I'm gonna finish the story from earlier. From seeing all the homeless people, I end up walking another like probably like a half mile. It's still like 115 degrees out. I had drank all my water by now, all the coconut water, and I had like no food, and I just kept walking. I was just like, whatever. Like, I left my suitcase at Zach's house that night before, so all I had was my backpack, luckily. But I'm walking down. I get back to the coffee shop finally, and I do some work, and I email Zach. I just thought he would respond to his email for some reason, and he did. And I say, can you get me an Uber to the convention? And lo and behold, he says yes. He ends up buying me an Uber back to this venue. I managed to make the second half of the day, which was on like marketing no, it was on people skills, which was really good. I learned so much about like people skills and how to help and deal with like people and like relationships and culture and this like the people of your company, whether they be the customers, clients, or the employees and team members. Everyone is important, and that's where like you're gonna either have problems or you're gonna have success. It's in the people. And what I came to realize is like my connection with Zach was building better and better through this weekend, and I made a very critical choice on Saturday night. I was invited out to dinner with a bunch of people, and it would have been either I networked with some new people, and I invited Zach to come with me because obviously I was gonna like pay for his meal because he helped me out that day. I got my phone and wallet back, and I ended up saying no. One, because it would have been financially irresponsible for me to go spend $50 on a single entree instead of like $30. It's just like if I'm paying for someone else's meal, like it just made sense. And I ended up taking me and Zach out to somewhere that was actually like only like 10 minutes from his house instead of 40 minutes from his house. And lo and behold, we had a great dinner. We conversated. We came up with the idea he wants to do sales for the 3M's coaching services, and that's like, it's just building like a relationship with someone who you know is going to be there and who literally was there. And it's like, I can see that he has love for me, and I have love for him, and sometimes you gotta work on, like, relationships that, like, you know, and you want to, like, concrete them and really build something that you, like, is gonna stick. And once again, it all this comes back to, like, that unconditional love. So, moving on from the story with Zach and helping people, I want to talk about another portion of unconditional love, and it's about being violent towards others. And it's very, very sad seeing people be like aggressive and like really negative towards other people. And what it comes down to is they weren't taught how to control their emotions, and they lack that self-control, and they take out their problems on other people. And you have to always remember that what you put in is what you get out. And so if you're in a bad mood and you choose to put out that negative energy into other people through legitimate violence or through this negative words and negative speaking, you're gonna get back worse things. Like, nothing good is going to come out of spreading that. And my mom always said, if you don't have something positive to say, don't say anything at all. And then Zach said the same thing. He always said, like, he said that his mom would always tell him to be nice to others. You don't know what they're going through. Think something like that. And the idea is, if you can try to look at from someone else's perspective, you're going to see that, like, everyone could use just a little bit more love, or maybe they could use a lot more love in many cases. And this having more love in general, it's gonna make everyone happier, and we all just really need it. It's such a high vibrational energy. Like, there's no reason to spread any sort of hate or any sort of, like, even you can agree to disagree with people, and that has nothing to do with being loving towards them. it's like you could have someone who you have a very different political opinion against, yet you still treat each other with the respect and love that you both deserve. And that's where, like, you have to learn how to agree to disagree. And it's this, like, a very basic idea of finding common ground to bond over with people. And when you can, like, find something to bond over, you're going to be able to build, a connection from that bond. It's just like how, like, atoms, like, you find, like, the electrons, like, they'll end up either sharing or they'll transfer them. And it's just like this one pair is all it takes to create a bond. And that's all it is for humans, too. This takes one thing, like, whether I'm talking to a fellow, like, past addict, or whether I'm talking to someone who's gone through mental health troubles in a general sense. That's one thing that I can bond with a lot of people over. And I want to end this podcast with this. You gotta be real. And when I say be real, like, the whole idea of, like, loving all is, like, great, and, like, it's, like, a lot of people will say, it's, like, it sounds like it's, like, a perfect world, but we don't live in a perfect world. And the truth of the matter is, like, the world is growing. We're all evolving. Nothing is ever going to be, quote-unquote, perfect. There's no such thing as perfection. There's, like, when you start getting too close to perfection, things are gonna happen, and then all of a sudden, you're gonna realize, like, you just hit, like, a new stage. Like, you hit a plateau, and then you scale up, like, directly, and then all of a sudden you're at a whole new, like, point in life. And it's all about facing those break points and breaking over. But you gotta be real. Like, no matter how loving you want to be, if you're, like, trying to be fake through your love, like, you aren't being yourself, like, you gotta be your identity. You have to be your true self. And by leading with the truth, you're not gonna be rude, but you're gonna be that real person that people need. Like, you can't bullshit your way through life. You can't bullshit your way through conversation. You can't bullshit your way through knowledge. Like, true knowledge, and for the matter of the fact, wisdom, which is just knowledge being used at the right point in time, is basically what we are all trying to achieve. We all want to be able to help people and say things at the right time. Because if you start telling jokes at a funeral, a lot of people won't take that well. Now, some people will, because it's just like, death is a funny thing. It happens to everyone. But how we all view death is a little differently, because some people, like myself, view death as nothing more than a door or a portal to another world. You have something better on the other side, and death is just like when you're done your mission here on the planet Earth, you get to go to the next portion of life, and that part of life just gets better. And that's why beliefs are really powerful, because if you believe in things that are gonna help you and not hurt you, it makes you want to do better. And I just feel like I'm preparing for the next life in this life. That's why I'm always working my hardest, always doing my best. So, like, when like, my father, like Yahweh says, like, all right, your time's up, like, let's go to the next stage, and, like, I can make that movement, and I'll dive into death like it was meant for me. Like, just like anything else that happens to me, everything that happens to me was meant to happen to me. And it, like, everything happens for a reason, and you have to understand that, like, what you're going through, and the whole idea of, like, learning how to love and, like, building that, like, identity and your truth, like, they all go hand in hand. And it comes down to, like, what I've seen as, like, one of the biggest parts of, like, being a human being is, like, learning how to love. And not only that, but learning how to love unconditionally, because you can love someone and like everything's all good in the hood, but then when shit hits the fan, you get to find out who you really are. And that unconditional love, when shit hits the fan, now that's what's gonna like make the world a better place, because we're all gonna go through shit. And it's when you're in the hardest times of your life, having someone there for you, that's when you're really gonna be able to help people. Just like that situation with the guy in Zach's apartment complex. Anyways, thank you for listening. If there's one thing you can take away from this is don't be afraid to help other people, even if things are going really bad for you, because what you put out is what you get back, and maybe you have to help someone to get back something that you once lost. Maybe if I hadn't helped that guy at that apartment, I wouldn't have gotten my phone and wallet back. I would have missed my flight. I wouldn't have been able to get through TSA again. This, that, and the other thing. You never know what's going to happen. So live every day like it's your last. Don't fear death, and use death as a motivator, if anything. Thank you for listening, and have a great rest of your day.